Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GeekWave. This is the low-budget show. It's the show so low, it have no budget. If we even wanted to do like a surprise cameo character, we couldn't because how could we afford them? You know, get an actor in for a minute, have them do the thing they did when they were younger, or at least like 5 years earlier or whatever, and then boom, they make money and they're happy, and Hollywood's great. So, the time I'm recording this, I do want to say this. I don't think I need to like harp on it too much. We've talked about this in weeks prior. We are reaching the deadline to see if SAG-AFTRA is about to strike, and things aren't looking that good. There's kind of like, the head of SAG, Fran Drescher, she's kind of like, at like a fashion show in Italy with Kim Kardashian, so fighting for those rights of the SAG actors. You're like, oh man, crazy. So Hollywood's in a bleak position. We don't need to dwell on it too much, but just wait and see what happens. I think the world's about to get very weird, and it's not going to look pretty, and it's going to be kind of scary, but whatever. That's not what we're talking about this week. It's Cowabunga Summer. Hallelujah. We made a funny this week. We're jumping back into the world of the Ninja Turtles, talking about their greatest enemy. Of course, I'm referring to Mutagen Man. That's what we're doing. No, it'll never be Mutagen Man. Who cares about Mutagen Man? Maybe two people. Am I even thinking of Mutagen Man, or am I thinking of Muckman right now? I think I said Mutagen Man thinking about Muckman, but too many men, It's weird stuff. Too many people that are just man. Stop it. We need more Ace Duck. We're talking the Shredder, of course. We had to. I had to. But before we even get that far, a little bit of news we have to cover. A couple of interesting things that are kind of scary if you think about them for too long. It's really weird. It's really weird what's happening. So Barbie was a success. It hasn't even come out yet, but it's enough of a success that all of these companies are like, guess what? We can do stuff too. So Mattel, your favorite company, they're going to be like, we can turn other stuff into properties. There's a really interesting article about it. I'm not going to go through the whole article just because who has time for that? But I will go through kind of like some of the summaries of stuff that was said, just because it's insane. It's insane that this is happening. So Mattel wants to, or they are some form of the word. They have like 45 properties in development at various stages of everything. And now they're just like, we can turn these into movies and TV shows. So some of the big things that were recently talked about include, there's a list here, Polly Pocket, which is just Barbie but smaller. Which I guess, if you wanted to do a Polly Pocket movie, I guess you could have it like they're like in a world inside a pocket. Something like that, You know that episode of Rick and Morty where they go inside the car battery? That's Polly Pocket. Uno, of course. Uno is supposedly getting a movie. Might be a heist movie set around the Atlanta rap scene. So, Uno, the card game. What the fuck does that even mean? That's bizarre. One that's really interesting that we've talked about before, the Barney movie is still happening. It gets a little bit more intense. It's kind of like apparently an A24 surrealist thing. And you're like, what? It's Barney. Is it going to be like a depressing movie, but like a guy who used to be Barney now he has to like live with like the guilt? Is this going to be like, oh my goodness, you know how sick it would be if this was like Birdman, but for Barney? Where like he doesn't want to be perceived as Barney anymore, but he has to like come back and be Barney because that's all he's allowed to do anymore. That would be sick. That'd be sick. Major Matt Mason. What's that? I don't know. Apparently, they don't know this one either. This article I'm looking at. This is Forbes, by the way. Apparently, Major Mason is an astronaut figure that was big in the 60s. Tom Hanks is supposedly... Who cares? Magic 8 Ball. Yeah, Magic 8 Ball movie. About time. You know what? It's about time. You shake the 8 ball, it tells you what's going to happen to you. Yep, easy concept. I can see it happening. Masters of the Universe, no shit. They have a successful Netflix show. The She-Ra show on Netflix was really good too. Hey, maybe this is a good idea. Maybe we should do a big budget Masters of the Universe movie. I say that, you know what? I say that, but I'm also like, it would be really cool if they literally called it Masters of the Universe, and they did it like The Mandalorian, where instead of like a big $200 million movie, we do like, this episode's about Tila, this episode's about Stratos, this one's about Merman, that kind of thing. That would, I guess, be more interesting, but it's not, is it? It's not that interesting. Here's a big one. J.J. Abrams, who signed a huge deal with Warner Brothers, he is developing Hot Wheels, which he described as emotional, grounded, and gritty. All things Hot Wheels aren't. You don't even play with your Hot Wheels on the ground. You play with them on a racetrack. Stupid Abrams, you don't know what you're making. Insanity. This shouldn't be happening, but I don't care. Christmas Balloon. Mattel is also working on a Christmas movie for their new lineup. Holiday films are big business, but it's not going to have the same nostalgic pull. So, what's a Christmas Balloon? I don't care. Stupid one. Thomas the Tank Engine. Okay. Sure. I mean, I guess if you want to do it like, I was going to say like Transformers, but if you have talking trains in the real world, is that interesting? Do kids like trains anymore? Like American kids? I have no idea. Last one is Vin Diesel's Rock'em Sock'em Robots, which does not need to exist, but I guess we can do it. So, yeah, go ahead, Mattel. You got all those properties. Let's actually, since we're on the topic, let's look at some other properties that Mattel owns and see if there's anything else we could make into a franchise, because the Crazy 8 Ball, that's a good one. Fisher Price, of course. Fisher Price, American Girl, Apples to Apples, that classic board game. I'm not seeing anything here that is interesting. Bob the Builder, yeah, sure. I guess. Brave Star, they have fucking Brave Star? And you're not doing a Brave Star movie? Are you kidding me? Space Cowboy? What are we even doing, Mattel? You're gonna do Hot Wheels. I guess Hot Wheels. You're gonna do Uno instead of Brave Star. Come on. That's stupid. That's a bad choice on your part, but I guess that could happen later. What else we got here? I'm looking at the actual Mattel license lineup, and it's a bunch of crap. You don't Kerplunk. Where's the Kerplunk movie? That would be awesome. Guts. Is that the wrestling line? Oh, it's military soldiers. Yeah, we don't need to exploit that stuff yet. Let's see. Is there anything else in this lineup worth making into anything? This is all crap if you ask me. I don't know half of this shit. I know what Scrabble is, but you can't make a Scrabble movie. That's just the Queen's Gambit, but with somebody else doing the thing. WWE, yeah, I mean, they'll do that in their own time. Tony the Tattooed Man? What is this? You just put tattoos on a guy. Why would you put this in here, Mattel? Why would you say that is a property you own? That looks like one figure you released decades ago. Oh my god, Street Sharks? They have Street Sharks. Mattel, why aren't we doing Across the Street Sharkiverse? You're killing me here. That's the only thing I want. Skippo can suck it. Rock-a-Stack, no. What is Rosebud? Is this interesting to anybody? Oh, it's just babies. Yeah, Boss Baby, I guess. Sally Secrets, what's that? This just turned into me looking at stuff Mattel owns. Actually, we're going to save this and do it for another episode because I could be here all day just looking at properties. What is Beauty Cuties? That's annoying. Okay, Bratz is better than all of these. Oh, I'm sorry. There's too many. Betsy Wetsy. I can't even look at that one. I'm going to freak out. Okay. Let's move on from Mattel being stupid and talk about something that's a little bit better, I guess, if you like it. Greta Gerwig kind of just said, I want to be a big director. and everyone started to freak out like, you're gonna like lose your quality and you're gonna sacrifice your art for the sake of money and IP. It's like, no, she's gonna do a Jordan Peele, she's gonna do a Denis Villeneuve, she's gonna make like good movies. Starting with, for some reason, was this announced as her next project? Probably. She's gonna be at least adapting 2 Narnia movies for Netflix. Which, if anybody here has been a fan of mine long enough, you might have heard me say I dislike the Narnia movies and I have no emotional connection to them, except for it was like an awakening for me where I'm like, is Tilda Swinton hot? Yes, is the answer to that question, and we still love Tilda Swinton to this day. I don't know. I mean, I guess if you have something to say about Narnia, go ahead and do it. I just can't imagine there's an audience for that, let alone on Netflix. You know, like they have enough shit on there that nobody's watching. Like they dropped an entire season of The Witcher and nobody is aware of it. I just don't know. Look, I love a good Jesus allegory, and Aslan is a character I'll be talking more and more and more about as I work on projects I want to talk about, but I don't know. Is this for anybody? I love Greta, so I think she'll do fine. But okay, if that's what you think the kids are after, go ahead and try. I just don't see it mattering to anybody. But what do I know? Did the Chronicles of Narnia inspire Harry Potter's founders of Hogwarts? Sorry, I just read I'm looking at pictures of Narnia as I do this, and that just came up from CBR. I'm like, that's an insane thing to say. Literally because the little girl grew up to be a Slytherin? I don't think so. That does not sound accurate in any capacity of the word. Moving on from Narnia, which is something I don't care about. Let's talk about another movie I don't care about. Deadpool 3. Threadpool. I don't care about Deadpool 3. I've talked about this before. Ryan Reynolds is not a guy I'm a huge fan of. His comedy doesn't work for me. The Deadpool movies, the more I think about them, the more I don't like the vibe they're going for. But we had a couple of things leaked and mentioned and whatever about this movie. So the first one, Jennifer Garner is the only official cast member from a previous movie who's coming back. She will be reprising the role as Elektra. Elektra from the Daredevil movie, an Elektra movie from 2005. You know what this means? I'm going to have to talk about Elektra on this channel more. Do you know how hard it is to talk about Elektra and be taken seriously? Crazy. What I do like about this, though, is that Jennifer Garner just gets to make money. I do like that. I really like her. I think she's really fun. And she's funny. And she deserves better. But hey, Ben Affleck's happy over there, so get the paycheck, put your kids through college. Maybe they'll have you cameo in another movie. Who gives a shit? You're going to be fine. Young people like you too, so you're great, Jennifer. You're going to be fine. We like you, Jennifer Garner. You're going to do great, but you are not Elektra, honey. You just never were. So come back and do it, I guess. I really don't care. I don't care. Like, crazy. On top of that, too, there was some photos leaked that were... No, they weren't leaked. They just showed up on people's Instagram, because that's where we get all these photos now, on Instagram. Sean Levy put it out, Hugh Jackman put it out, and Ryan Reynolds put it out. It's Deadpool and Wolverine walking in the desert, and Hugh Jackman is wearing the actual suit. He's wearing the suit, okay? He's wearing the suit. And what I'll say about that is cool. I'm struggling to have any interest in this entire thing. First off, this movie is filming during a writer's strike and potentially during an actor's strike, which worries me immensely because we've seen that fail before with these two guys working together. The other thing is, like, I wanted to see the suit so bad. I don't want to see it on a 6'3" Wolverine that's been doing it for 20 years. I'd like it to be more than just like a nostalgia grab to try something new with Logan. I'd like it to be original and feel like there was an idea behind it as opposed to just like a reference. And then Deadpool can be like, oh, finally we get to see you in here. Like, I'm so worried that this movie's just going to be Deadpool ripping on things we get to see that we didn't see before, or just like, hey, there's Channing Tatum's Gambit. Too bad we never got to see that. That worries me. And that photo, God, I just don't care. I look at that and I'm just like, this is what people want. I guess it's not what I want, but I'm glad people are happy with it. I hope this movie makes money for the sole reason that it's probably going to be the last one we ever get, because I don't imagine we're going to be. Okay, this is in production. Captain America wrapped filming. They pushed that one back, and then they're done. Like, they have no other ones actively on the go. I think Ironheart is the last series they worked on because they had to shut down Wonder Man, which they still haven't officially announced. Marvel's just having a panic attack over there, and I don't care in the slightest. I don't think we're getting Thunderbolts until 2025, and I don't imagine we're going to get Fantastic Four until 2026. But what do I know? It's Comic-Con next weekend, so maybe they'll surprise us and just be like, boop, actually no, because if there's a writer's strike, they can't promote their stuff. And they've talked about this. It's one of the deals. Not one of the deals. It's one of the things that they've talked about. If there is an actor's strike, and say it does go on strike, I'm throwing shit around just talking about how excited I am, they can't promote at SDCC. So it's going to have to be about comic books. Could you imagine? Can you imagine a world? That's crazy. That's crazy. A world about comics. My goodness. But I don't care. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Let's move on to a couple of trailers. There's a couple of movies I wanted to talk about that had trailers drop. The first one is for Bob Marley, One Love. I don't know why. This one just really excited me. I just thought, I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. Look, we do these all the time. We're always going to make a musical biopic with somebody. We have a couple in development now. There's an Amy Winehouse one that's being made. And we got Priscilla Presley in development, which should be coming out this year, which is very exciting. We're always going to do them. They're always going to happen. But this one, I can't explain it. I just really dug the vibe. Where it's like, yeah, we're not going to be doing like the origin of Bob Marley, like where did he come from, how did he get his start and all that crap. It's more just like, here's a man that we're all culturally aware of, and now we're in like the point of his life where he was like feared, and like things could have happened to him, and he's still like, it's all about peace, and that's kind of beautiful. I think we need that in this time period, and that's pretty exciting. Kingsley Benadir is the actor playing Bob Marley, and Lashana Lynch will be playing Rita Marley. Now, I really am fascinated with what Kingsley has been doing with his career lately, because he did Malcolm X in One Night in Miami. He is currently in both Secret Invasion and Barbie. He is building himself up to become like one of those guys that does these kind of stuff. And look, the trailer sold me. I think he's doing pretty good. He looks the part pretty well. I wouldn't be surprised if 2025 we get the Oscar nom for him. I think, because I would have given it to him for Malcolm X. I think he did really good in that role. He's a good actor. I'm very excited to see how this is going to go. And just when I thought that was going to be the only trailer I talk about this week, you're not going to believe this, folks, but Ridley Scott said, "Shut up, all of you. I made a Napoleon movie. It's 2.5 hours long, and you could all go to hell." He made one. He just said, I had an idea for Napoleon that nobody else did. What if we saw the man conquer the world while being cucked by his wife or something? I love that. I don't know. It's great. Look, I love all of this crap. Okay? I love it when a director of acclaim comes to a streaming service and just says, give me $1 billion freaking dollars and let me go nuts, and I will make you something that you've never seen before. And that's what we're doing here. This is a big budget epic. Like, it's an epic. It's an epic in scale. We have big actors, big sweeping shots, battles all across the world. And at the center of it is Joaquin Phoenix having a breakdown. That's so cool. I love it. And I love that, like, nobody really sounds French. And to that notion, Ridley Scott is like, yeah, who gives a shit? None of this matters. It's a freaking movie. Relax. And I love that for him. This also has Vanessa Kirby and Jodie Comer, two actresses that are fantastic and I want to see do better stuff. So come on, let's see this take the cake. I am all in on Napoleon. I'm all in. I love that Apple has just been like, you know what? We're giving these guys a lot of freaking money. Maybe we should put the Ridley Scott movie and the Martin Scorsese movie in cinemas. And they're doing it. We have Killers of the Flower Moon coming in October, and then we have a Ridley Scott movie in November. That's so cool. That's just great. I'm looking at like a Napoleon movie from the 20s. Should we talk about that before this one comes out? Maybe. Ridley Scott's just a badass, isn't he? Like he is just like, I don't give a shit about anyone or anything. Just let me make my stupid movie. He's 85 years old, that Ridley Scott. 85. Holy shit. And he made this. And then he's doing Gladiator 2. What are you doing? What are you doing, my guy? You're going insane. He's filming Gladiator 2 right now. Yeah, because, wow. Bro is insane. I'm sorry. Bro is insane. We're talking Ridley Scott soon. I just know it. The dude's awesome. This has been going on for way longer than I thought. I'll just say, look, the Bob Marley movie comes out in January. I will definitely be talking about it because it looks very interesting. And Napoleon looks sweet. I love big movies that take big swings. That's really fun. But let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to jump into the world of the Ninja Turtles yet again. Everyone, why don't we take a minute and prepare ourselves a nice dish of turtle soup, because that is what we'll be dining on tonight. Tonight, we're going to dine on turtle soup because we're talking the best of the Shredder, Oroku Saki himself, the man, the myth, the legend. Sometimes he's ancient as fuck, sometimes he's young. More often than not, he looks like a big cheese grater, and we appreciate that for him. I know I'm a big turtle fan. I've always said that. I just celebrate Ninja Turtles all the time more than many people do. But my goodness, do I just love the Shredder as a concept of a villain? Like, what a ridiculous outfit. I think it's one of those perfect examples of, like, you got the name perfect. You got the design perfect. You can do anything you want with that concept, and it works. He can be silly. He can be serious. We know what we're doing. And it's been great the entire time. Incredible. Incredible. I say great the entire time. That's not true. It's been bad a majority of the time. That's not true either. A mixed bag if there ever was one. But we have to talk about it. I just love this concept. Like, he is a formidable villain. He has ties to the characters and their history. And we kind of explored this when we did, like, Elseworlds. But I do like the idea of, like, the historic connection between Hamato Yoshi and Oroku Saki. I like the idea of, like, scorned lover, like a weird triangle in the middle of them, and just having to build out that relationship and that connection. I think there's something to explore there. And I do just enjoy seeing that try to be perceived in different ways. Whether he's like a warlord, just a vengeful ninja, or just like an immortal being that's cursed to destroy you for whatever reason. He is the Joker, if the Joker was formidable. Is that his, like, closest comparison? I don't know, but I think they just got it right. Like, this is how you do it. You picked a design that can both be campy, can both be silly, and be serious. And every time we do that, we do something special with it. So appreciate it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun when we do that. Now, I was like, how deep do we want to go down this rabbit hole? Do we want to talk about appearances in other media, like video games or card games and stuff like that? I kind of wanted to stick to, like, the main things I talk about on this channel. So we'll be talking movies and TV shows and comic books. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say that the original, like, toy release of the Shredder was, like, a shirtless freak. And I really like that look. Like, I want to see somebody do something with that look. I think that's such a fun design and just so stupid. And I appreciate that. Like, he's wearing shoulder pads of blades, a purple cape, and no shirt. What a cool guy. I think that's amazing. But let's start off talking about like the comic books, just because I think there is like something to explore there. That Shredder started in the comic books, one of the original. He was the original villain, I should say, for the Ninja Turtles. He was in the first issue, and they kind of just killed him. Boop de boop, kind of just like, yeah, we were doing the parody thing. He was kind of like Bullseye, just like the leader of the Hand Ninja. You know, you get it, Foot Soldier. You get it. It's kind of fun. And the design, like they nailed the design from the beginning. Like the classic, like shaded colors for him were just like perfect, like the original design. It looks great. And something I really like that they've just like established from the beginning is just like, yeah, he's a clone though. Like he clones himself though. He just does that. And there's a bunch of clones, and like having that be like an original concept for the character just makes them science fiction characters, and I love that so much. But you just see this guy, he's like, come face your doom, I'm gonna kill you. Oh, I'm dead, but I was cloned, so it's okay. I just love that. I love that. That design is so good, and I just love the simple aesthetic. I think works the best for this. Now, I'm always a fan of a cape. I love a good cape. I'm a cape man. I love a purple cape, but like the really powerful like colors of like the kind of burgundy with the silver, it really works for the Shredder in this case, and it looks fantastic, and it's one of the best examples of that character. Now, if you remember your history, and I'm sure some of you do, after we did the Mirage stuff, they kind of stopped making them there. There was the brief minute where they went to Image Comics. And there's not much to say. It's a very interesting era of the Ninja Turtles because we kind of threw every idea at the wall to see what would stick. Sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. And it was weird. And I think like in that era, didn't like Raphael become the Shredder or something? Yeah, it was weird. It wasn't that good, but it's just kind of like, yeah, fine. That was a because it didn't go for very long. Like the Image Comics stuff only lasted about not even 30 issues. I think like 25, 26 issues, something like that. And they've been reprinting them lately as like the urban legends for the stuff that IDW is doing. So it's hardly anything. It's literally hardly anything. Like it means nothing, and it doesn't mean anything, and it looks stupid, and it does take us to probably the best incarnation of the character in recent time, which is the IDW stuff. And this one, it's not that it's hard to penetrate, it's just that it's been going for years. Like it's on to like issue 140, and there's been various spin-offs like Shredder in Hell. I remember I read the first issue of Shredder in Hell, and I'm like, yeah, he's escaping hell. That's sick. This guy refuses to die. He became Doctor Doom, bitches. He upgraded to Doctor Doom levels of terrifying. And it's great. You're just watching this guy. And he's just a guy. And he's slowly building himself out. And he's building a name for himself. And then suddenly, he's just Ra's al Ghul. He's Doctor Doom. He's just a freak in the sheets, baby. You love him. He's great. I love this interpretation of the character. The design is great. It kind of like loses like the gimmicks and the cartoonish nature of the previous ones. It's like, no, he's gonna wear like the blacks and the reds. He's gonna have the cape and the scarf, and he's gonna be a monster, and he's going to be intense, and people are going to be afraid of him, and he's gonna be powerful. And he's a deadly force to be reckoned with. And they turn him into like this undead creature of destruction. Not like a literal undead creature of destruction, but like he is a deathly character. He is planning steps ahead, but he's also very angry, so he's going to do something stupid at any moment. And I appreciate that. That is so great. I just love that. That is, in my opinion, the best design for the character is the IDW one. I don't know if it's my favorite concept for the Shredder, but design-wise, I think they nailed it. Like the post-contemporary, while still being an homage to the classic stuff, it's never looked better. And it's been fantastic. And if you haven't read Shredder in Hell, it's just graphically crazy. It's just a monstrous dude being a freak, and I love that. What does it mean to live? What does it mean to die? And you're like, yeah, give me that through the lens of this insanely disturbed character. And I guess to kind of like kind of touch on like some other stuff in the universe, there was the Batman Ninja Turtle crossover where he merged with the Joker, and what the fuck was his name? It was something stupid, like the Smile. Were they like the Smile Clan or something? I think that's what they were called. And he was called the Laughing Man. Yeah, and yeah, okay. It looks cool. It looks interesting. And like I said, he is the Joker of this universe. So it works for that in its own capacity, right? Now, that is the comic book stuff. There's the Mirage one, whatever Image did with it, not much, IDW, and then the Laughing Man. And overall, those are all really good aesthetics. Like, they all look great. Like, you nailed this character design from the beginning. Then, folks, we jump into the world. The world, if you can imagine it, if you can imagine the world of cartoons of the 80s, we get the Shredder of the 80s cartoon, which is the definitive version of the character, I think, for a lot of people. This is where he's not really the boss anymore. He's just kind of like middle management, and Krang's the boss. But you know what? He looks great. I love this design. I do like the purple and gray. I do think it's classic. I love the voice. James Avery did fantastic voicing that one. And this is it the most we've seen of the Shredder in like a single iteration? Maybe, but you just see like the range, because we were doing it for so long. We just had him go through so many different phases and do different stuff. So he's more silly, he's more serious, but all the time he's just like a villain of the 80s. He never succeeds, but he's scary. And I do think that's kind of impressive. They made it work. You know, they made like an 80s concept where nothing can seriously ever happen, and they made it work. He can make fun of Bebop and Rocksteady. He can make fun of Krang when Krang does something wrong. It's working well. It's been interesting to see, and it's been the best. It's the purple cape's just so good. I love the purple cape. I love the sleeveless arms. I mean, the wraps are kind of interesting. They're a choice. They are a choice, but the dude's just sick. You know, we nailed it here. It's the best look he's had. Probably it's everyone's favorite. Do I like IDW more? Yeah, but the nostalgia hit I get seeing classic Shredder like this, I'll never forget that. I will never forget that. Like, that hit goes hard, and it may never leave me, and that's kind of cool. I could spend, how much time do we want to spend talking about it? I don't know. I don't think we need to spend that much more time talking about it, because we have to go to a really, really interesting one now. I wanted to get this one out of the way. I'm still contemplating if I want to talk about this show in more capacity, but we're going to take a minute just to dwell on like how good James Avery was, and then we're gonna head over to live action for a minute, and we're gonna we're just gonna talk about the Next Mutation. Remember the Next Mutation? When Saban was like, yeah, we can do it. Yeah, we got it. Don't worry. They did have a Shredder. He did not appear in every episode, but they had a Shredder. And it looked like a Shredder from that series. And by that I mean, it looked bad, and you don't remember it because it's a forgotten era of history in this universe. The Foot Soldiers look bad too. Like, everything looked bad. I think the failure of this show, and that could be something to talk about in another time, but the failure of the Next Mutation was thinking the Turtles were the Power Rangers. They weren't. Like, the mysticism stuff can be explored with them, and the big creature stuff can obviously be explored with them, but treating them exactly like they are the Power Rangers and having that idea built for them, it hasn't worked. It's never worked. The designs are terrible, just utterly grotesque and disturbed, and everyone's wearing the worst costumes you've ever seen, and the Shredder just looks terrible. He looks like a Lord Zed ripoff if he was a wrestler or something. Like, it's just ugly and stupid, and the character did nothing. No staying power, no effect in any capacity of the word. Just an utter disaster. bottom of the list. Not even on the list. I hesitate to put it on the list. I think more people would be familiar with the action figure that looks nothing like the design from the show. But nonetheless, the next mutation is so fascinating. I love those kind of periods in like cartoon and comic book and just character history where we tried something and it didn't work, but we tried it and that's interesting enough. I like that kind of stuff, but hey, we got to go to the 2003 cartoon, which is, because I'm a young man, the era I grew up on. So that design for the Shredder is the most nostalgic I get for a Shredder. I can't say it's my favorite look. I think it's a little too bulky and it's a little too like brooding and dark. It's fine. I do like the aesthetic, but this is an interesting Shredder, and we'll talk about it. Is it a spoiler at this point if the show came out 20 years ago? I don't know. But this Shredder is interesting because he is not actually a person. He's an Utrom. And look, it's not that okay, yeah. I I haven't loved it my entire life. I remember when I first watched the show, I was just kind of like, yeah, I mean, okay. That's an interesting idea. As I've grown up, I have appreciated the Oroku Saki Hamato Yoshi relationship and that dynamic bleeding into their rivalry. I've appreciated that more. But I gotta say, to take a show that's kind of doing like a Batman the Animated Series and being like, what if we merged the identity of the Shredder and Krang into one being and just made it like an Utrom that looks like he's angry and he's red and he's got like a scar on his face and he's as old as time itself and he's kind of like a fugitive from space, and then he like built a feudal Japan clan and he's been ruling it secretly in armor for years? I mean, that's a cool idea, and it does play into something I've always said, that the Ninja Turtles are science fiction characters, so I can't be mad at that. I do dig it. And then, like, the show goes on for way too long, and he, like, goes into a computer. They have to fight him in a computer. But, look, the first few seasons where it's just strictly the street stuff with Shredder, ooh, muy caliente, it's really good. It's just like the first season, because season 2 they go to do the Triceraton stuff, right? Oh man. Look, we got the retrospective coming up in a couple weeks. We'll talk about it all there. But this Shredder, I really appreciate and like. I think it's a good Shredder. I'm not gonna say it's the best Shredder, but every time I see it, I'm like, that's an idea I don't think a show would ever do again. And that's interesting. But you know what? Kudos for trying. You made a really interesting design. It's more armor based and samurai based as opposed to like a big cape. It's just bulky armor guy. And I get it. It was the era. I can't complain about that. I can complain about you putting him in a computer, because that sucks. That seriously sucks. But after that, we didn't really have Shredder for a minute. And then we had the 2012 cartoon, which was amazing? Question mark. It's great. Like, I don't know if this cartoon gets the love it deserves. I think just because of like everything going on at the time, like the movies were around that time and they had the comics at that time, it's kind of been forgotten, but that Shredder was intensely fierce at the beginning. Like, he was clearly a lunatic with power, and he was mad, and he had the ability to hurt people, and I appreciated that. And he had like a history with Hamato Yoshi, and I like that too. I think this is a good Shredder design, and it's a really, really cool one. Like, that show, like the 2012 show, I don't think it gets enough credit for being as dark as it was, because there's like an arc where they kill Splinter, and you're like, oh man, why did that happen? But I don't know, like this Shredder just kind of gets like forgotten in like the pantheon of Shredders. But he's good. He's a good Shredder. Like, he was intense and fierce, and like there was a huge tonal shift whenever he showed up. Like, we can joke all we want, but when this guy walks on a screen, we're scared. We're terrified. Like, we don't know what's gonna happen. And he did a lot of interesting stuff with his daughter. Like, they played that part really well. And I'm just like, that's how you do it. You did it right. You did it right. That's a good Shredder. I don't know if people are like as nostalgic for it, but it was like an interesting concept, you know? I appreciate that. Then he did like the Super Shredder thing, which we'll talk about more in a minute here, which is a concept I get. It is something that Shredder's always been doing, which is just like the cloning and the extended life stuff, which does lead me to, I guess, more of like the Doctor Doom of it all. And I guess this one also kind of has like the Doctor Doom of it all too, because he's got like the face mask hiding his scar, like completely hiding his scar and like his face and like the burns and the destruction of him. So it's kind of interesting that way. I don't know. Super Shredder design here, I don't love it because that is also similar to the design that we see for the Rise of the TMNT Shredder. Now, full disclosure, this is a series I have not seen all of. I was aware of this Shredder. I don't know his origin or what this Shredder is about, but I don't like it. I think it looks a little too stupid, you know? It's the neck, I think. It's the neck I don't like. He looks too much like a weird creature, like a monstrous being. And I guess that's the point, you know? The show was weird. I didn't watch it all, but should we talk? Do we want to talk about that movie? Maybe we'll see. I don't know. What a weird design. He's got some like Gendy Tartakovsky vibes too, I guess, of like the way the animation looks and the way it moves, but it's very much like that modern animation style, which sometimes just doesn't work. And that whole cartoon, I appreciate it for existing. I think it needed to exist, but I don't know. It never stuck around for me. I think it was just too flashy, and at the point in my life when it was coming out, I was just like, I don't have the time for that, you know, but I see clips of it all the time, and it's really funny. I like my turtles to be the same size. I don't like a Raphael that's like towering over his brothers. I don't think that's really fun. But cool, you know, that's the thing to do nowadays, is give them different sizes and different beings, and it is what it is. I can't complain about that. But for when it comes to TV, I think the clear winner is the 80s cartoon. Not just because it's nostalgic, just because, like, it perfectly worked for the tone that show was going for. And then I would say the worst one's the Next Mutation, obviously. But then I think I would have to go the 2012, 2003, and then Rise, and then Mutation at the bottom. I don't know. Do they beat the IDW one? I'm going to say it's pretty even. And that brings us to the two contrasts in terms of the Shredder. So we have the original movie Shredder from the 90s, which is a great design. Look, it's straight up the Mirage comic book, and sometimes he's in purple, and sometimes he's non-purple, and it's just like, this is great. Like, look at him. Look at this cool guy. He's wearing the burgundy. He's got the weapon. He's intensely scary. We've talked about it in the movies, because I am covering the movies. It is weird that his plan is just to, like, tell kids to steal. That's kind of lame. But I will say, he does tell those kids to steal effectively, and he looks good doing it. I think this Shredder is serviceable. Like, you get the formidability of him. He's like intense, and he's scary, and he's gripping, and he's dangerous. He's got a cool aesthetic, and you can understand like why people would be afraid of this guy, and he works for the most part. I can never put him as like the top Shredder, you know? And then in Secret of the Ooze, I think I like Secret of the Ooze Shredder a little bit more than the first one, solely because he shows up after being dropped into a garbage can. It's just like, okay, I want to fuck over these turtles. Can we get some ooze? Yep, we're going to make stuff. Plan backfired. Okay, time to just drink shit and kill them myself, and then a building falls on him. That's perfect. Like, that's great. The dude you saw, Big Dandelion, and went, it's time to wreck shop. And what better way to wreck shop than to be an absolute dreck of a being? And that's what he does. He just shows up, is a Chad, and then leaves. And it's amazing. And then, yeah, you know, Turtles in Time, the third one, blah, blah, blah. We don't need to talk about it. And that brings us, folks, to the mighty world of the Bay Turtles era, whoop, boop, boo, which I haven't started there. I'm not there yet on my rewatch of these guys, but holy crap, am I excited to get here. Just the absolute worst thing ever made, you know? This is the worst one. This is the worst one. Because what were we doing? Well, what were we doing? I don't even remember. So we had the first movie where the Shredder was kind of just like a guy. I barely remember what he did in that movie, but he was a guy who was there. And he was like, I'm dangerous. I'm going to hurt people. Don't worry about me. Just going to kill people. And he was like a big mechanical freak. He looked like Silver Samurai from the stupid movie that was Wolverine. I actually really liked the Wolverine, so that was a stupid thing to say, but just a goofball. Like, what was that? And then, like, in Out of the Shadows, he was like showed up and did nothing. Just the worst. And it's like, ugh, the mask wasn't even good to look at. The armor wasn't even good to look at. Just the dumbest design ever, and he did nothing. He served no purpose. He wasn't even scary. The foot soldiers were just guys with guns, and I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with that. You ruined him. You made the Shredder a loser. I'm not happy with that. Even the next mutation had purple, you know? Like, they didn't have anything else. They had purple. And you hardly see the suit either. I cannot wait to talk about these movies, just because, like, what an era that was, where we could get away with anything in the 2010s, you know? We just did anything we wanted, and nobody stopped us. And we're still doing that, kind of. What a world. It's so crazy. What a world. I don't get it. It was bad, though. It was a bad world. We elected Trump. I don't know. Is that because we made this stupid Ninja Turtle movie? Maybe. Crazy. Crazy. Ugly. Bad. So he's at the bottom of the list for me. I think the bottom three for me would probably be the Bay era Shredder, the Next Mutation Shredder, and I don't want to say Rise just because I haven't seen it all. So I'm going to say the 90s movie. I love it and it's nostalgic, but in my opinion, the three best are the IDW, the 80s cartoon, and the 2012. And I think they're all interesting, but the best one is IDW. I think like that's the perfect tone that it struck, but if we're going for one that's on screen at some capacity, look, you can't go wrong with James Avery, you know. Pretty good Shredder. But which one's your favorite? I'm always curious to know like what era Shredder people like and which one they think's the most interesting. I grew up on 2003, where the biggest swing was taken with that character. Didn't always pay off, but we really tried something crazy, and sometimes that works. Sometimes. But hey, thank you all for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, Cowabunga, dude. Let's get it on. You know, we're going to do that. We're going to do the Epic Rack Battles thing. No, we're not. We're not. But hey, have fun. Stay safe. Good luck. Thanks for watching the GeekWave.